The Washington Post has come under fire for allegedly terminating a beloved longtime columnist for, get this, decrying political violence perpetrated by white men. Yes, condemning political violence is now considered grounds for cancellation by the very people who complain about cancel culture. Be warned, this is an icky story. Welcome to Occupy Democrats, I'm David Reddish. Since the murder of right-wing gasbag Charlie Kirk last week, politicians and figures of both parties have called for an end to violent rhetoric and to tone down the constant outrage. Unfortunately, politicians such as Donald Trump and J.D. Vance continue to paint the problem of gun violence and mass shootings as one based on the left, when evidence points to the contrary.
And while our side of the aisle certainly has its crazies, it is a statistical fact that most of the lunatics in American politics today are proud members of the far left.
Of course, we have to make sure that the killer is brought to justice, and importantly, we have to talk about this incredibly destructive movement of left-wing extremism that has grown up over the last few years, and I believe is part of the reason why Charlie was killed by an assassin's bullet. We're going to talk about how to dismantle that and how to bring real unity that can only come when we tell the truth and everybody knows that they can speak their mind about the issues of the day without being cut down by a murderer's gun.
Okay, so for the record, without derailing too much here, I would just like to point out that the recent assassination attempts and mass shootings that were politically motivated all, with one possible exception, stem from the right. We know this because the shooters left behind manifestos or made comments supporting right-wing ideology. That includes the Anaconda shooting in August, the June shootings of Minnesota legislatures, the April mass shooting at Florida State University, even the assassination attempt on Donald Trump last year. And of course, none of this says anything about how the Trump administration or the Republican Party continue to resist any kind of common-sense gun control and fight to defund programs that would monitor and treat mental health issues. Those last two issues relate to every damn mass shooting in the country one way or the other. But here we are. Following the death of Charlie Kirk, Democratic politicians have expressed empathy for his family, while Republicans have rushed to have him sainted as some kind of American hero, yeah right, and downplayed his own calls for violence against Democrats over the years. Remarks like blaming the black community for gun violence, saying immigrants brought violence upon themselves by entering the country, advocating for white nationalism, applauding the would-be murderer of Nancy and Paul Pelosi, even going so far as to push for donations to bail him out of jail, claiming black people want to destroy the population of white Americans, saying mass shootings are worth the death as long as Americans have easy access to guns, and yes, I could go on like this. But I don't want to get too far off track. Last week, few commentators wanted to come out and remind the world of Kirk's vile and even violent rhetoric. One who did, albeit indirectly, Karen Attiah, a longtime Washington Post columnist. Without mentioning Kirk by name, last week she posted to social media, quote, "Part of what keeps America so violent is the insistence that people perform care, empathy, goodness, and absolution for white men who espouse hatred and violence," close quote. And now, that statement appears to have cost her her job. CNN now reports that following Attiah's posts on Blue Sky last week, she claims to have been fired by the Washington Post. At the time of this broadcast, it isn't totally clear which post cost her her job. According to Attiah, the Post claimed her words placed her colleagues in physical danger. CNN postulates that might refer to a post where, again, without mentioning Charlie Kirk by name, she said she refused to, quote, "tear my clothes and smear ashes on my face in performative mourning for a white man that espoused violence," close quote. The news of Attiah's firing also comes as CNN further reports that right-wing Instagram nut Laura Loomer started a website called Expose Charlie's Murderers, a database of people who made negative comments about Charlie Kirk following his death. Its purpose is to encourage employers of all industries to out and fire anyone who made negative comments about Charlie Kirk. This from the party that always decries cancel culture and encourages ICE agents to wear masks to prevent doxing. Maybe Jeff Bezos, who owns the Washington Post, visited that website? It's also worth noting that the Washington Post has been in chaos since Bezos acquired it and mandated a more right-wing agenda. Numerous longtime Post reporters quit. And now they've lost Karen Attiah, the last full-time black columnist at the newspaper. So please, tell me again how the right hates cancel culture, except when they want to use it to target their political enemies? Let's hope this doesn't become a full-blown witch hunt any more than it already has. And I have no problem saying Charlie Kirk loved to spout hateful bile, mostly because it got him attention and made him money. The man was worth about $12 million at the time of his death. So there's that too. We'll keep you updated on the situation involving Karen Attiah and the push for Trump and other right-wing trolls to use Kirk's death as a means to attack their own personal enemies. This is Occupy Democrats.